Imagine being a black person in America and looking up at a mountain in your hometown and seeing the depiction of Confederate heroes etched into the side of it. This may send an alarming message, as this symbol represents racial oppression as well as white supremacy in America. What message is the United States trying to send? Although this memorial was carved in the past, it still continues to shape the perception of America and its attitude towards people of different race and upbringing. This country has fought hard to reshape its image and remove racism from its society. This very existence of this memorial has sparked major controversy and anger from offended citizens. However, there is a way to turn this ill-conceived memorial into something that suppressed groups and Americans in general will be empowered by and fond of. As a member of the Malcolm X Institute of Black Studies, I have studied a lot about Black history and the work that Black people have done to bring awareness to America. This being said, I know how much murals such as the one carved into the side of Stone Mountain hurts Black people. As this Confederate memorial supports the hegemonic ideology of white supremacy and the encouragement of slavery, our imagined artifact counters this by strengthening an ideology of Black empowerment and bravery in America, portraying some of the Black soldiers that risked their lives in a fight for their and all African Americans' freedom. In my speech, I will talk about the racial context behind this Confederate memorial and dive deep into the meaning behind it. I will also brief the people depicted on the memorial and explain what they did to diminish the freedom of Black Americans. Brock will then propose a new monument that depicts the 54th Infantry Regiment, which opposes the current memorial by advancing a message of courage and bravery, as well as portraying our nation's ideals of freedom and justice for all. Now that I have laid out the significance that this artifact has on suppressed groups and the ideology it portrays, I will talk more about what this artifact depicts and why they should be changed. The hegemonic artifact that I will be discussing today is the Confederate memorial that is carved into the Stone Mountain in Georgia. This Confederate memorial is carved 42 feet deep and 400 feet above ground and depicts Confederate leaders General Lee, General Thomas Stonewall Jackson, and the President of the Confederacy, Jefferson Davis. This monument is even larger than Mount Rushmore, which depicts important individuals in the United States past. To make things even worse, the Smithsonian states that this memorial was carved into the side of the mountain where the first Ku Klux Klan cross-burning took place. The ideology that this artifact produces is that our nation still promotes white supremacy and inklings of slavery. The Confederacy stood for preserving slavery in America, while many other United States leaders, such as Abraham Lincoln, were fighting to abolish slavery. This memorial is also carved into Stone Mountain, which was a popular site for the Ku Klux Klan, who, as we know, are known for their anti-Black beliefs and actions. These facts point to the ideology that this Confederate memorial is intended to be harmful for Black people. As said before, the memorial depicts carvings of three famous Confederate leaders, General Robert E. Lee, General Thomas Stonewall Jackson, and Confederate President Jefferson Davis. This memorial is also larger than Mount Rushmore, an important monument of America's past. Lastly, the memorial can be found on the side of the Stone Mountain, which is rumored to be the site of the first Ku Klux Klan cross-burning. The depiction of the Confederate leaders serves to glorify these individuals and what they did in America. It makes them seem as if it is still holding onto the beliefs that these leaders instilled, even when we have preached and practiced moving away from these beliefs. The fact that this memorial is larger than Mount Rushmore makes it seem like the memorial is more significant to America than Mount Rushmore is. Lastly, the location of the memorial can be interpreted to reflect the ideas and again glorify racist ideologies presented by the Ku Klux Klan. This monument harms black people as well as other marginalized communities with its message of white power and glorifying the leaders trying to uphold slavery. It sends the message that all of the effort put into ending racism in America was not effective. This hurts the black community as it makes them feel as if all their work has been glossed over and disregarded. We have spent many years trying to change the narrative in America, and depictions like this monument go against the message we are trying to send as inclusive United States citizens. Now, I will allow Brock to talk about the new monument that we would like to carve into the mountain, which depicts the 54th Infantry Regiment.
Thank you, Sal. I will be proposing the idea of replacing the current monument of the Confederate generals with a monument dedicated to the 54th Infantry Regiment from the Civil War. The 54th Infantry Regiment was the first official regiment in the U.S. Army composed primarily of black soldiers. These men were not drafted. They volunteered to fight for a country that had not yet recognized them as equals. Their decision to serve was not just courageous, it was radical. They were stepping into a uniform of a nation that, at the time, denied their full humanity. Despite the overwhelming social, political, and even military odds stacked against them, they chose to fight, knowing full well that if captured by Confederate soldiers, they could be executed or sold into slavery. They fought not only for the Union, but for the promise of freedom, dignity, and the end of slavery. Their courage was immortalized during the Battle of Fort Wagner on Morris Island, South Carolina, in 1863. Against impossible odds, the 54th led the charge on the fort's heavily defended walls, though the mission resulted in severe losses, with over 270 of the 650 soldiers being killed, wounded, captured, or going missing. Their valor saved the lives of hundreds, including members of the 10th Connecticut Infantry, who they protected during a retreat. Their actions directly contributed to changing public opinion in the North and led to broader enlistment of African Americans in the Union cause. In total, over 180,000 black soldiers would serve in the Union Army, a movement catalyzed by the example set by the 54th. The current monument glorifies men who were so committed to keeping human beings enslaved that they chose to secede from the United States and wage war against it. These generals did not fight for abstract ideals. They fought to preserve an economic and social system built on forced labor, rape, and sale of black people. They represented a rebellion against the fundamental values of freedom and equality, and their actions led to the deaths of over 600,000 Americans. To continue to honor such figures in public spaces is to validate their cause, whether implicitly or explicitly. Replacing this mural with one that honors the 54th Infantry Regiment corrects that moral failure. It replaces a narrative of oppression with one of resistance and unity and shows that we are no longer willing to elevate those who stood on the wrong side of justice. Replacing this mural would directly challenge the lingering presence of white supremacy in public spaces by choosing to honor the courage and sacrifice of black men who fought to liberate others. The 54th shattered the racist myth that African Americans were unfit to fight or lead. They demonstrated discipline, courage, and loyalty, all under the weight of systematic racism. By memorializing them, we actively choose to uplift a legacy of bravery, service, and sacrifice. The choice reorients our public memory toward justice. It tells every person who passes by what our community values freedom over oppression and courage over cruelty. It also sends a message to future generations that our heroes are those who build towards justice, not those who defended injustice. The visual and symbolic shift from Confederate generals to an African American regiment fundamentally undermines the power and reverence once granted to slaveholders and successionists. It challenges the idea that historical power alone warrants respect. Instead of a towering image of white military leadership, the new monument would reflect the collective strength and bravery of black men who risked everything. Not only does this dispute the false grandeur of the Confederacy, but it also reshapes the narrative of military valor to include those who have historically been erased. By choosing to memorialize the 54th as a regiment, not just their officers, we celebrate collective sacrifice and shared struggle, not just the achievement of the elite few who led. This transformation serves as a difficult reminder to hegemonic ideologies of racial hierarchy and historical amnesia. It elevates a truth long buried that black Americans have always fought for this country, even when it refused to fight for them. This story promotes black empowerment, collective realism, and a more honest reckoning with our nation's past. When we refuse to acknowledge the contributions of groups like the 54th, we are participating in a form of erasure. This new monument would serve as a corrective lens through which we see our past more clearly and honor it more justly. This shift from honoring those who upheld oppression to those who fought against it marks a critical turning point in how we remember our past and envision our future. It is not about erasing history, but about telling it truthfully and justly. Through this act of public memory, we can begin to confront the legacies of slavery, racism, and inequality in a meaningful way. Replacing a Confederate monument, one dedicated to a president and a general who fought for slavery, with a monument of the 54th Infantry Regiment, reverses the celebration of oppression and instead honors those who fought against it. This change doesn't rewrite history. It corrects the lens through which we view it. It allows us to commemorate those who were on the right side of morality, even when that path was fought with danger and resistance. The current monument upholds a narrative of white supremacy. It glorifies men who led a war to keep others in chains. That story, carved in stone, continues to speak long after the war ended. Replacing it with an artifact that centers black heroism and sacrifice reshapes our collective memory toward one of liberation and solidarity. This isn't just about the past, it's about the future we want to build. A future where justice, inclusion, and truth are all foundation of how we remember and who we celebrate. As our nation continues to confront systematic racism, we must also confront the symbols that maintain it. Every statue, every mural, every name on a plaque carries meaning. These are not neutral objects. They are public endorsements of the values we hold. Replacing monuments of hate with those that celebrate justice is more than symbolic. It's a step towards healing, understanding, and a more equitable future. The 54th Infantry Regiment deserves that honor, and we, as a society striving to be better, deserve to see them honored.